Hey, what's up guys? This is Mr. Jensen with EdTech Integration. In today's video, we talk about teacher report cards. Now, this seems backwards because usually we're the ones giving report cards to students. About 10 years ago, I got the head coaching job for a cross-country position at a high school over in Oregon, and I wanted more feedback after the season. I found that there were some things that were going well, there were some things that were not going well, and after just talking to students and athletes, I realized that their perspective was really, really valuable, and what was going well, what wasn't going well, what we could change. Now, the core principles stayed the same, of course. But I found after giving that teacher report card, or at the time it was a coach's report card, it turned out to be really valuable. So I've done it ever since, both as a coach and as a teacher. So in today's video, we're going to go over my latest teacher report card I just gave my students right before I left for break. And it's going to be a vulnerable moment for me because there's some stuff in here that's not perfect, and that's the point. There's some really good data that we collected, and just forces you to kind of like objectify some things and look back on your practice and what can we do better, what can I do better. So let's take a look at it. So as you can see here, I have a lot of teacher report cards and they've evolved over time. So I'm going to show you the one that I gave my kids just recently, right before we went into winter break. And we are in person, so keep that in mind. So we started in August and we've been in person all along. So the way I start my teacher report card is I start a normal Google form and I just go down and ask a bunch of questions. I try to sit down beforehand and think of what are the results that I want. Do I want the kids to trust me? Do I want the kids to like me? Do I want the class to be hard or easy? And so I try to think about the outcomes that I want, kind of a backwards design idea, and I put those questions on there. So for example, this is important to me. I want to be prepared for my students every single day. Teachers prepared for class every single day. So they rate that 1 to 5. Teacher shows interest in students' lives. That's an important piece for me, building relationships and having the students feel like their lives matter outside of just my science classroom. Teacher takes time to build relationships with students. Teacher is well organized. Teacher accommodates for all types of learners. And we can go down and look at each one of these things. I'll put a link for this template in the show notes, so you guys can go ahead and download this or just use this template as your own, and you can change it however you want. Okay. Another really important piece that I do up here, and I talked to the kids about this beforehand, and I'll just read this to you. I say, I take improvement in teaching very seriously. The goal is to provide the best science education experience out there. In order to improve, I have to listen to my students. This is your chance to voice your opinion. Please be honest, but constructive. If you give me all 5s or all 1s, I know that you did not put thought into this survey. I know that I'm not perfect, and I know that I'm not doing my job absolutely to the best of its ability. Okay, I know there's points for improvement. I also know I'm not an awful teacher. So what I tell the kids is, if I see you're giving me all 5s and you're not putting that much thought into it, or you're giving me all 1s, you're not taking the time. So please don't do it. Okay, I really want them to put thought into these things. Okay, after these questions here, I have opportunities for some short response questions, and then at the end here, I leave an option for the kids to leave their name. Now, I make sure to advertise and tell them, hey guys, you do not have to leave your name. Only if you wanted to. If they left me a nice comment or something that they wanted to be connected to them, they could leave their name. So after I give this to all my students, and granted a lot of my students were gone, I can come here and I can look at each one of the results. I can look at a graphical version of each one of these results. Now, this is nice for me because I can come over here and I can say, okay, 73 students voted me 5. Teacher takes time to build relationships. I can go through here and just kind of take a quick glance. And that's a helpful thing for me. And I can come here and I can read all these things here. So here's how I really like to do it. If I go up here to the top right, I can view responses in Google Sheets. Or if you'd like, if you're more of an Excel person, you can download a .csv version, which is an Excel file of this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now, I've already gone through and done some formatting here just real quick, but as you can see here, it's just a lot of raw data. So here's why I like this. If I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and we're just going to do some basic analytics here. Okay, so let me just keep scrolling. So I want to be able to see where the average and the median and the min and the max and standard deviation are. So I'm going to do those real quick. So let's go average, min, max, and let's just do standard deviation. These are just some basic analytic tools that I'm going to use to look at my stats. So if you've never done or used Excel like this before, I'm not going to go through all of the basics and what I'm doing here. I'll make another video on how to do this in a different video. So I'm going to come over here to average. I'll walk you through it just a little bit. I'm going to click equals, type in average. And then I'm going to click here and I'm going to push, I'm on a Mac right now, so I'm going to push Command Shift and then up, and that's going to select all of those values. And here I'm looking for minimum. So I want to see what the minimum value in each one of them is. And I think that was 1, maybe not. Okay, and this one it was 2, that's good. What the max value is, so I'm just doing the same thing here. Let's see. And the standard deviation. If you're not familiar, standard deviation is how far away do the values fall away from center. And this is probably one of my most valuable analytics. So instead of doing that for each one of these things, what's nice about Excel or Google Sheets is you can select all of these and use this handle here to drag these values over. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple things here. This looks messy to me. I don't need it to go out to like 8 significant figures. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to decrease this to, so it goes out to those, just the hundredths place here. Okay. Now, this is nice because I can look at each one of these, but what I want to do is be able to see this a little bit nicer visually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some conditional formatting here. So if I select all of these and I go up to format and down to conditional formatting, what I can do is based on the values of each one of these cells, I can color code them. So if I'm going to go to a color scale here, and in this case, higher the better. So the higher the average I have, the better. Okay, the better I did. So the max value here, I'm going to make this, let's say, make this a really big green. The minimum value, that's not good. So I'm going to make that red. Okay, so all I'm doing here is just so I can visually look at this and I can say, okay, if this is dark green, that means this is a high value. If it's red, it's just a low value. And then my midpoint, and let's just say at 50%, let's make that like a yellow so we can see that a little bit nicer. Okay, so if I push done, now I can go through here and I can say, okay, these dark green ones, these are the ones I'm doing really well in. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this. How difficult is this class? So let's get that one. Yeah, anyways, we'll just ignore that one there. And then as it gets lighter or even darker, as the darker colors here, I'm not doing so good at this. So teacher makes content relevant to my life. This is a low score for me. So here's what I might do now. I might go back and think to myself, okay, what might I do if this is important to me? What might I do to make my class more interesting? Or how might I relate this to students more? Maybe we do like a science journal. Maybe we do current events or something like that for warm-ups every day. Something to integrate. So as we go back from break, gosh, what can I do to do that? Let's look at some other low ones here. I feel I learned something new about science every day. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so it's not an awful score, but it's one of the lower ones. So how can I reflect and think about how can I make sure that students are walking away with something new that they learned every single day? Okay, I'm not going to go through each one of these things, but as you can see, just in a really quick analytics, I can say, wow, I can start to prioritize things like I know, wow, my students feel like that I show interest in their lives. That's really good. I'm really happy about that. That I build relationships with them. That's really good. I'm happy about that. Okay, let's do a conditional formatting for the standard deviation, which again is how far away from the average is this. So minimum value, so we're going to go back. Now, in this case, a minimum value, a smaller value, is a really good thing. That means that more students feel like if I had a high score, more students feel that that's truth. Okay, so a lot of students feel like in this case here, let's look at one for an example right here. Teachers prepare for class every day. I have a high average with a low standard deviation, meaning that it is close. A lot of my kids answered towards that 4 and 5 range. Okay, the bigger the value means that there's a huge spread of answers here. So my max value, that's not good. The bigger the value, that's not as good. So I'm gonna click done. Okay, so here's a good one. Teachers make science interesting and fun. Okay, low-ish score, still not bad, and a huge standard deviation, which means that there is a huge spread of people that answer. Lots of people answered high and lots of people answered low. Okay, so this tells me that, wow, there's a lot of students that are on each side of the spectrum that are kind of swaying that average there. Okay, let's see what was my highest standard deviation. Looks like that was my highest one. Okay, so again, really, really quick data that I can look and say, okay, these are the 3 things that I'm going to work on in the next week or coming back in this next quarter to make science more fun or science more interesting, or so students walk away learning something new from science every single day. Okay. If you like this video, please subscribe, please like it, please push the notification tab so you get notified when I upload new videos. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. If you have ideas or have requests for new videos, please leave those in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.